Hey everyone, Dan Mortimer with eXp Realty bringing you another weekly market update. This is for the Henderson and Las Vegas market with data for the last 7 days as of April 21st, 2025. We are coming up on the end of April. It's crazy to think how quickly things are flying by this year. We just had Easter. And spring, beautiful. It's starting to heat up. We're hopefully through most of the nasty winds that we've had the last few weeks, but let's go ahead and dive into the data, see what's going on the last 7 days in our Las Vegas Valley. So first and foremost, new listings. We had 1,071 new listings hit the market in the last 7 days, but it's actually a little bit lower than we've seen the last couple of weeks. If you follow these videos weekly, we've been seeing over 1,100, over 1,200 in some cases, new listings hitting the market. So that's a little bit lower than what we've seen recently. We also had 193 homes that came back on the market. Buyer and seller had a deal in place, deal fell through for whatever reason, property goes back on the market. 193 of those to 1,071 new listings in total. We had 851 listings that had a price decrease of some kind. For those of you that have watched a lot of these videos, I apologize. I try to repeat this for people that are new to the channel, but price decrease could be $1, could be $10,000, $100,000, whatever, anywhere in between. It just kind of depends on each individual listing, but we had 851 price decreases of some kind in the last 7 days. Now, getting into the under contracts, we had 331 properties that went into under contract show status, and then another 492 that went into under contract no show status. So in total, you're talking about, what is that, 823 properties going under contract to 1,071 new listings. That's a much smaller gap than we've seen in the last few weeks. We've had a pretty sizable gap between the number of under contract homes and the number of new listings. So a little bit thinner this week. More homes going under contract to a little bit fewer listings as well. Getting into the solds, we had 693 properties sold in the last 7 days. That's basically just closed, money exchanged, keys exchanged, new owners into the property, 693 sales. And we had another 94 homes that went into coming soon status. For those of you that aren't familiar with coming soon, basically that means home is kind of pre-marketed and put onto the MLS in coming soon status. It will be active on the MLS and active on Zillow, Redfin, all the other third-party sites within 30 days or less. Usually it's quite a bit less. Usually they'll use coming soon status to post while they're waiting for photos or while they're waiting for all the marketing and descriptions and things like that just to be refined and ready to go. So diving into the numbers of active listings for each property type, we are currently sitting on 6,348 single family homes, 1,469 condos, and 1,008 townhomes. So in total, rough estimate, you're talking about 87, maybe 8,800 homes, approaching that 9,000 number. I know in the past, historically, 10,000 has been a pretty balanced number. Usually it's an indicator of a pretty healthy, balanced market. For those of you that aren't super familiar with the Las Vegas market, it's behaved kind of like a lot of other growing markets where we were kind of hovering around 10,000 listings for a long time in our market up until 2020 when chaos ensued and people started moving like crazy as part of the pandemic. Las Vegas saw a flood of people coming in from other markets, California, Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, and our city has just exploded since then. So even though we've had a more balanced market for the last, I would say probably year or so, the numbers haven't necessarily supported that. It's just it was so frantic and crazy for so long that when things aren't so frantic and crazy, people think, oh, it's a buyer's market, or oh, it's no homes are selling, prices are tanking. But really and truly, we're just kind of getting back to that more balanced market, which, as I've said in other videos, I think that's good for buyers and sellers. For buyers, it means you have choices. It means that you have a seller that's willing to work with you. And from a seller's perspective, you have some leverage. You can get favorable terms for yourself, but you also have to price competitively, and you have to make sure that you are working with buyers to get your property sold. So for me, I think it's a balanced market is the healthiest market. That way, both sides have a little bit of leverage, but they also can work together to put deals together. So very interesting to see. There was a lot of concern, and we saw a bit of a flood of activity from buyers when we saw the rates drop off pretty quickly and then they rose back up. So I know a lot of people are still kind of watching that very closely, but overall, as we get into the spring season, we're definitely seeing the overall buyer activity pick up in the market. Now, I've said this before, doesn't necessarily mean that every single home in every single neighborhood is just flying off the market, but it does mean that a lot of buyers that have been sitting on the sidelines for the last maybe year or two, a lot of them are starting to move forward. They're looking at options. They're considering, they're considering moving forward on a home and putting a deal together. So definitely a lot more activity on that end. And I think we're also seeing a lot of sellers, which is part of the reason why the inventory has been picking up, and we're seeing that number of new listings pick up. We're seeing more sellers get into the market too. People that are maybe buying, trading up, maybe they're downsizing, maybe they're moving across town for whatever reason. People that have been sitting on the sidelines for a long time, waiting for the election, waiting for prices to change, waiting for rates to come down, whatever that may be. A lot of people are getting to the point where they say, okay, I'm good, let's move forward. Let's get into something else. Let's sell this place. So like I said before, I really like a balanced real estate market because it's really beneficial for both sides. When you have a heavy seller's market, you get buyers doing crazy things to lock up homes, waiving contingencies, going way above appraised value, waiving the appraisal contingency, and just doing things that are not necessarily in their best interest, but they have to because they need to secure the home. And on the flip side, if it's purely a buyer's market, you've got the inventory, you've got the housing inventory flooded, very little buyer demand, and sellers are just kind of fighting with one another to get the very few buyers that are out there. And it creates kind of an unhealthy environment where it's a race to the bottom, and it's that's not healthy either. So I would say right now we're in a pretty good spot. We're pretty balanced. We're seeing our inventory finally pick up after being really stagnant for a while. That said, prices are still at all-time highs. It'll be interesting to see what things look like in a couple of weeks when the April numbers come out. If we see that record price, if we break that and go up a little bit, if it comes down a little bit, it'll be interesting to see. If you follow my monthly videos, you'll know that we hit a record price for the median sale price of a home in Las Vegas. We hit that in January. We repeated it again in February and did it again in March. But those are kind of the slower months. March is a little bit busier, but now that we're getting into the spring and summer months where we typically see the most buyer activity in our market, it'll be interesting to see if that trend continues, if it goes up, if it stays flat, maybe it dips a month. It'll be interesting to see. So I hope you guys got some value from this. There are two ways that you can support this channel. If you want to learn a little bit more about buying or selling a home in Henderson or Las Vegas, whether it's in 9 days, 90 days, or even further out, I'll put a link in the description of this video so you can set up a one-on-one meeting with me. No pressure, no hassle. Just gives me a chance to get to know you a little bit better and learn a little bit more about your situation so we can put a game plan in place to help you to achieve your real estate goals, whatever that may be, buying, selling, renting, whatever. And then the second way you can support this channel, it's the easiest. There's a subscribe button at the bottom of this video. It gives you notifications anytime I post a new video. There's no cost. I'm not gonna, try to track you down or anything like that. It keeps you informed on the market. I try to post at least 1 to 2 videos a week, property walkthroughs, lifestyle videos, market weekly updates like this. I do a monthly market update as well. I've got playlists on my page as well, so feel free to check those out. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I will see you at the next one.